What's up, everyone? This is Raw Life, back again with a Lufenia video, this time for Trey's Lost Chapter. Check out my support, Blartanian. He's on YouTube, same name. He's got some cool runs, so everyone go and check him out. And straight into business here, we start out with these evil gazes. They are fast and they are mean. Aerith hits the S1 for Healing Wind. Get that Int Brave up, that Int Brave buff on everybody. Trey will use his LD. That's a debuff as well. That'll help take care of the orb. Cloud's going to start with Blade Beam, push him out a little bit. The orb is a sap orb, so they have to take sap brave damage on one of their turns, so they do need to be moving in this, so I can't delay them too much here at the start, as long as the orb's still up. Trey's EX right here is going to put on Fatal Arrow, and that will apply a debuff that is instant break on any brave attack as long as they have that debuff up. So that's good. We're going to try to maintain that debuff as well as his LD debuff the whole fight. Aerith will eventually switch out for Ramza friend. She's going to be basically providing the auras. She does not bad damage as well. And her planet's admonition debuff, Warriors 76ers, we don't care about that, ESPN. And as you can see, these guys are really quick. A lot of their attacks will instant break you. So you want to keep on Trey's debuffs at all times, his traps. And so every time they move, they're getting hit hard. With his EX debuff, they will break instantly, and that's important. As you see there, I use Dynamite Arrow Charge 2. His entire kit revolves around charges. So you're going to want to only use Skill 1 and Skill 2 when charge is at 2. That gliding leg move that they just used breaks you every time. It's nice, nasty, but then they got hit with dynamite and kind of helps keep their turn order in control so they don't go absolutely wild. Cloud also hit them with a paralyze cross/slash plus. They are able to be paralyzed, so use that to your advantage if you're using this team or a team like it. There you see, they're still hitting me hard, but the debuffs and the traps from Trey really help out here. And in general, we're trying to keep them from popping their orb until 29% when they pretty much go crazy. They enrage, and you don't want them to move again after that with this team comp. Keeping up Trey's debuffs, as I said. Beating wings ominously. I don't even know what that means, but it's bad. Let's see, Cloud's going to try to hit him with a Meteor Rain. His EX is, I mean, at this point it's showing its age. It's all right. I use it when I can. I do know that I'm not going to use all of Cloud's skills in this run. I ran a team before this with Vincent instead of Aerith, and it was not many turns. It wasn't really close to the 60 turn limit either. So I'll use his EX when it's viable, but sometimes I'll just let it sit there if it's not really what I need to use at the moment. They're at 77% now, and gliding leg plus instant breaks. And they resist knockback until they're inflicted with break. Once they go into that aura, Trey's instant break debuff, Fatal Arrow from his EX, incredibly useful there. I'm keeping track of Aerith Seal Evil as well, her buff, just to make sure that it's always up so that I can use her HP plus, or Brave plus. Wow, that's up. I go ahead and throw on Jack's debuff here. Now, this is the turning point of the fight. I don't know if it was too early or not, but My goal here is to use Jack's debuff and keep it on for the remainder of the fight. Now, keep in mind, they are at 74 and 73%. And if they move too many more times after this, the debuff's going to fall off. But they're not tanky like the damn steampunk octopuses. They're not that tanky, so especially with that debuff on, I know I can kind of just blast them down with a combination of friend unit, summon phase, and burst. A lot of people don't use burst in their videos or in all their videos, but I feel like I pulled it. I'm going to use my bursts every time, except for the TCC challenge. I do like that. TCC challenge is a cool idea where you do the run without some of the best characters and you don't use burst. But in this situation with this team comp, I really want to just blast them down across a certain threshold so that they don't get to move again. Trey's going to keep just hammering this whole fight. This is pretty much the same rotation. Charge 2, either on a skill 1 or skill 2. EX when it's up, and LD whenever it's close or whenever it's going out. And we got to keep those debuffs up. Helical Dive, whatever that is. Another one of their bastard ass moves. We hate these things. I'm sure you'd feel me if you've run this or if you ran it in the Chaos era. These guys are awful. Aerith is going to think really hard about what she's going to do right here. But I believe we're about to go ahead and throw on... Let's see. We might go ahead and throw... Yeah, we're going to switch in... Not the friend unit, but the call for Onion Knight. And we're going to rearrange the turn order a little bit. And hit him with that ice resist down. Not too terribly important, but going ahead and getting the turn order the way you want it. The big thing about this fight is keeping a track of the turn order. If they get to go 2 times in a row or, if they're back to back to back, they're going to hurt you, especially after the 30% threshold. So we're just trying to survive, get down to 29% and just bang them out from there. They're now sitting at 60 and 61%. Could use that free skill on a ability recovery, attack up. Reapply the Grand Delta. That's the EX debuff. I think it's about time that I'm going to bring in the Ramza friend. Shout out Blartanian. And go to work. Cloud throws in a finishing touch to change his Cross/Slash back into Cross/Slash Plus. Aerith has her EX up, but we're going to save that for when she gets back. And we're going to go ahead and bring in Ramza friend. My idea here was to, from 56% down to 29% without letting this orb pop. It's kind of tight on turns, but I bring in Ramza, go ahead and hit the LD first. I know I got to get the BT effect up, but the LD will give me a little bit of breathing room. Cloud uses his second LD to push them out just a little bit more. Trey, once again, is going to bring in the call because, like I said, we're trying to burst them down at this point. So Galvanize just to get a little bit of extra brave, and then Ramza LD call to get another launch out of this. Their orbs were pretty close, 8 here. So I knew, if they get a turn, they're going to go down by 2, and every action I take, they're going to go down. So I got to be careful to make sure that this run works with my... That's a pretty terrible launch. Could have hit Brave there. Like I said, man, misplays. We have misplays. Ramza's going to go ahead and throw on his burst. So this BT effect will go up, and for the rest of his the rest of his time on the field, that BT effect will be active. And we've got to be careful with the DPT because we've got to get these guys both. As you see, they're down to 6 on the orb. We've got to get them both to 29 so the orb goes away. Going to go ahead and burst with Cloud. Thanks to my biggest fan who pointed out my misplay in Cloud's burst phase on Divine Ramu. Because, as you see here, we hit him with the Blade Beam and then, bam, we get those free skills. We get the free skills, baby. We're not making the same mistake twice. As you can see, it took me a second to think about it because I'm super dumb. But I was like, all right, what do I want to do here? Go ahead and use the Cross-Slash Plus as the free skill to paralyze B. And then Finishing Touch on A. Initiate that launch and get Cross-Slash Plus back. This actually is important later in the run. But Cross-Slash Plus on A and B will get them both paralyzed. So we're sitting here in the middle of the burst phase with turn 29, 6 turns on their orb, or 6 counters on their orb, and my friend Ramza is already out. So as you can tell, I'm kind of just putting it all in the basket of burst them down, get the orb to go away completely, and then I will try to just delay them enough to finish them off so the orb doesn't go off and, well, once the orb's gone, so that they don't get to move again. Because, like I said, after 29%, they pretty much just go ham and they'll wipe your shit. So be careful. We leave the burst phase, and almost instantly we're going to be looking at summon phase because they're still at 36 and 34%. With 4 on each orb. But, we got to get them to the 29, so I popped the Shiva summon. It's not ideal with the turn order, but it's the first time I ran this squad, and I figured it would work, and it did, obviously, so we'll take those. Popping the summon here will obviously freeze the orb, so we can just chip away that damage down to the last, get them to 29%. In the summon phase, I'll go ahead and use Meteor Rain. It's not, that AX is showing its age, but sometimes it's all right. Grand Delta, refresh that buff on them, and at this point, they're below the orb, and I know that now I've just got to burst them down the rest of the way. Another LD use from Ramza. Launch those sons of bitches. We hate these bat cats. We hate them bad. Cloud's gonna... Well, I'm gonna think about it for a second because I don't want to fuck up my run. But I say Blade Beam. A Blade Beam, push him back a little bit and instigate a launch, or initiate a launch. Ramza and Jack. I keep calling him Jack, man. All these Type O characters with the blonde hair. It's just too many. 9, Jack, Trey. Who's who? I really don't know. But we leave the burst phase and summon phase, and we're at turn 31. They're both sitting here paralyzed and 16% health on each. I checked their debuffs because I really didn't want to push off any of the debuffs I had on with Innervate. They both have 6 debuffs up. Didn't want any of them to push off. If you notice, Jack's debuff that I put on earlier in the fight, it has survived this long, so that's been great. 342k on that one. That launch, it's not bad. And we're at 9% and 13%. Aerith's going to come back in shortly, and we're going to go all out damage per turn, because you see the red aura, you see the angry bats. These are some angry bat cats. So Aerith comes back after Blartanian leaves. Shout out Blart. She drops a Fury Brand. that was, I pocketed that before I brought out the Ramza friend. And now it's just a damage race. We want to get across the finish line without them moving again, ideally. There was a paralyze on each of them, so that helped. Cloud also has paralyze, or the plus form of cross slash here to finish off the fight, getting them across the finish line without being able to move again, like we said. Grand Delta EX from Trey is going to refresh that buff for the debuff for the last time. We're at 2% and 4. And our time with these cat bats are absolutely coming to an end. Another LD from Aerith for good measure. Here they're at 2% and 1%, and I don't want to fuck up my run. So I hit him with the critical crush, the AA, free skill, then another one. I mean, it's not going to add to my turn count, and might as well. Meteor Rain, was really hoping this would finish them, as they're both at 1%. Obviously, tragedy strikes, and they don't die. But we finish him off with Trey, which is great. It's his lost chapter. He should get all the credit. He was the MVP here, obviously. His off-turn damage, his traps. That's it. Run went rather smoothly. So you didn't get to see a lot of their mechanics, but these guys are tough. Be careful, and hope you enjoyed the video. Come back again, and Raw Life out.